Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome back. It is Wednesday and it is a little cloudy, but it is the Real Deal pod with Alistair and Jeff. And we are so excited to have you guys back here with us today. Today, we've got a special guest with us. I'm excited to have him introduce himself. But Jeff, let's kick it, man. What's going on? How you doing, buddy?
Not bad, not bad. Had Mother's Day. Hopefully all men treated your mothers well.
Yeah, hold up. I got to say something about that. I actually got in trouble from my mother. Yes, my mother, Jeff, does listen to our podcast. I did not wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day at the end of last pod. So my apologies. I took an absolute butt whooping over the phone. And let me tell you, prairie mothers seem to be nice. You'd think they're nice ladies. Oh, they're from the prairie. They're sweet. They're nice. Nah, man, they're some of the hardest hidden women you'd ever meet.
Yeah,
it's probably the cold. Although, let me tell you guys, it was plus 39 over the past 2 days there back in Winnipeg. Plus 39 degrees, man. That is wild. That is my dad called me. He goes, I'm dying. He goes, I'm Caribbean. I'm from Tobago. This is too hot for me. I think I'm going to die, Dad.
It's the bipolar province of Canada, right? It's
yeah, right?
Super hot or super cold.
Or super cold. It was wild. So, again, my apologies to all the mothers out there. Yes, I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day. Jeff, did your mother have a good Mother's Day?
You know what? I went up to Kamloops with my girlfriend on Saturday. Took my mother wherever she wanted, took her out to her favorite restaurant. The next day, took her out for breakfast. She put me to work, had to clean her video and everything else. But, at the end of the day, she says, Jeff, you're the best son ever.
Love it. Love it. The only son.
Maybe she didn't say that, but I think she was thinking that.
Yeah. That's okay. I always say that I'm my mom's favorite child, and then she corrects me and says my favorite son. And that's because I have a sister. Yeah. So that's why, and there's only one of me, so that's it, right? That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, let's kick it, man. Let's get into it because I know we've got a guest. I've got a quick did you hear that I want to get into, but yeah, let's get it started.
Well, you know what? We have a buddy of mine, a business associate of mine. A man that used to crawl up the Abbey Grind with me on Fridays, Mr. Jon Balzer from Fraser Valley Movers. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you. I have my mom call me her favorite oldest son.
Beautiful.
So,
well, you got to get into a little bit more of that story.
Yeah, how'd your Mother's Day, your mom's Mother's Day go?
My mother-in-law is actually also in Kamloops, Jeff.
Okay.
And I did nothing for her. Yikes. I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. But yeah, did something for my own mom and more importantly, my wife. It seems that now that is a thing. Like I have to do something for my wife on Mother's Day. Which is
that's interesting that you say that because as you'll hear me in my home, it's like when it's Mother's Day, it's like I've got a mother. This is yours, man. You got to take care of this one. I got to take care of your grandmother back in Winnipeg.
Or what my girlfriend says, I'm not your mother.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how can I celebrate Mother's Day? But then it's a woman's Day celebration. So
yeah.
Yes.
I still had to spend the money and buy the gifts.
It's really good that your girlfriend is not your mother, Jeff. That would be
that's really weird, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, let's bring this back.
It's going to become a weird pod all over again.
Well, let's jump into your segment, Alistair. Did you or did you hear? Let's get this rolling.
All right. So, gentlemen, the did you hear for today is Gregor Robertson, Vancouver's longest serving mayor, is back on the national stage, this time as Canada's new Minister of Housing and Infrastructure in Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet.
Yeah.
So I did. So I got to tell you guys, I moved here. I think I mentioned on the pod, I moved here in 2007. Like I've always said, I'm a proud Perry man. And I'm just going to say this guy made me laugh. And a lot of everybody um, from Alberta, basically east. So the rest of the country kind of had a chuckle um, at this dude when he introduced himself onto the British Columbia landscape. So I guess I'll get into that a little bit later. But you might remember him from his bold 2008 promise to end street homelessness by 2015.
You did a great job.
So we've fallen a little short on that promise.
I think we dropped not a little short, but maybe a couple hundred country miles short.
Yeah. Okay, I was trying to be kind, Jeff. We're trying to be positive because I've said I'm gonna let this guy, I'm gonna let Carney do his thing over the next 4 years. So, we're taking steps. We're bringing in somebody that has seen rents at its peak, right? So I kind of chuckled at that too. So developers and investors should be a little happy, right? Because it's with him that we saw the highest rents, and Ebby since then has been trying to lower them, and that's why investors and all that have been releasing all of the rental units. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that dichotomy plays out. But now he's got a bigger influence and a bigger toolkit and another shot at tackling the housing crisis. So his appointment, of course, is sparking mixed reactions. Critics are, of course, pointing to skyrocketing home prices during his mayoral years, prices that jumped 179% across Metro Vancouver. But his supporters, of course, are saying he did what he could with limited power as mayor, and they praise him for being one of the first politicians to openly confront the housing crisis. So I will also state, right, that when we talk about how housing has always worked, and I've tried to educate people on how it's worked, federal is something they're now getting back into. Housing has always been a provincial thing. When it comes to building homes, that's provincial. City has very little influence actually on building, right? They have input. They want building to happen in their provinces or in their cities. They set the proposals to the provinces, but the provinces really dictate where builds go. When it comes to rental rates, though, that is where the city plays more of a role than does the province. The province really doesn't step in when it comes into rental rates and such. And that's where I know that the mayor loses a little bit of his credibility because of the massive rental rates that Vancouver saw through his reign. So for people that don't know, Gregor Robertson, he co-founded Happy Planet Juice, and he cycled to press conferences in a suit and helmet, and consistently framed housing as a moral issue. So now he's stepping into this federal role with a promise to help build 500,000 homes per year through streamlined regulations, prefab constructions, and $35 billion in financing for affordable and innovative builders. So now the big question is, will this second chance allow him to finally deliver on the vision he couldn't fully realize as mayor? And that's what I was going to open it up to you guys. What's your feeling if you have one?
I read that, and I realized that this gentleman was he the longest standing mayor of Vancouver?
Longest serving mayor Vancouver has ever had. Yeah.
There's also an NDP electoral councilor, or
yes, he's he leans to the left. He leans NDP side. So when we talk about, again, Democrats and Republicans and all that sort of stuff, yes, the NDP, he's more left leaning, of very much social programs. Yeah.
And like I say with anything, I'm just a wait and see kind of person. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine today. Is again, as a Canadian, the only thing we can do is vote, right?
Yeah.
As a Canadian, if you don't like what is going on in a political platform, be it your city, be it provincially, be it federally, then you need to become an activist, right? And again, who has time? Well, not who has time to be an activist, but again, to become an activist then will take away on a lot of other things, but you will become something that you stand for. But being an activist doesn't pay your bills either, right?
Right.
So again, with this gentleman and his role, just like last week, what I said is, let's see.
How about you, John? What do you think? You got any thoughts?
Very curious. I think you said 500,000 homes.
500,000 homes per year.
So yeah. I'm just curious, how does that compare to what, say, happened last year? Like, how many homes were built in that area in 2024?
The goal was 320,000.
The goal.
That was the goal.
Okay. So yeah, just curious logistically.
That was the goal, was 320,000.
Was 200. Next year we want to do 1,000. Like, I'm just curious how much of a leap it is. And
yeah, I'm going to say I don't believe they even accomplished their goal of 320,000. So when we even say like 500,000, that's where I kind of tilt my head and say, well, if we're not meeting 320, it's great to say 500. I mean, let's say 1 million. But if we're not attaining our goals, then these numbers don't matter. Why don't we set something we're actually going to attain?
Yeah, I'm a fan of like realistic goals.
Yeah, right.
But realistic, and like, I'm sure we all have experienced or tried to experience scaling our business at various points, and to double in 1 year when you're already big is really hard, right? So that would be an astronomical achievement. So that's my main thought. Like, okay, yeah.
And even jumping in on that is, again, we talked about this last week. A good friend of mine is a developer, and he has a lot of vacancy in his developments, the ones that are completing. He's holding back on future development because of where the market is, and really, in essence, as far as what these tariffs are going to bring in regards to the building supplies and the building costs. So now I hear that there's going to be 500,000 more homes that are going to be built here within a year, where we already have high vacancies as far as existing buildings. So what are we going to do with all these buildings? We have affordability issues. We have affordability issues. If we have right now, from last week, Alistair, you told me that this was the highest amount of inventory on the real estate side in over 10 years. Right?
Yeah, 10,000 listings. Yeah, we had 10,000 listings in the Fraser Valley.
And now I know we're talking as a country, but again, now you're putting in another 500,000 homes. Like, what is that going to do to this market, right? What is that going to do with vacancy? And I know at one point it was on the federal government's mandate to create affordable housing, to create vacancy or rentals. Again, this is why we got rid of short-term Airbnbs. But now it almost seems like we have too much inventory, right? And people still are not now. Well, they're not buying as of today. I think that will change, like it always does. But again, where are our vacancy rates, and what is that going to look like? Because we have a lot of inventory. There is a lot of things on the market.
But I think the correlation that we see is from whether you're a reseller, so whether you're somebody that's listed their home, or whether you're a developer that's selling a prefab, both of those individuals are unwilling to capitulate on price at the moment, because as we're seeing those sales, we're also seeing very few sales. Our sales dollars below last year is a very small change. We're talking about 0.4, 0.5% versus LY. So the dollar amount isn't changing very much. Inventory is rising, but everybody's saying, I still want my dollars. Okay. So what the government is trying to do, right, is basically overload the market, dilute the market, so the prices have to give way, so somebody has to sell, because at some point you're just going to have all this stuff on the market. You're going to know your property isn't going to be worth much. You're going to have to sell it at some point and let it go for what market is now. Do I believe that this is going to be the good way or successful way of going about things? No. That is why I truly believe that we do have to have a combination of public and private working together to solve this. I think that putting it in the hands actually of the government is wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That's my belief. I think putting it in the hands of the government is wrong. The reason I say that is because the government has a lot of things to deal with. And I've always said this, what happens in British Columbia isn't the same that happens in Manitoba, isn't the same that happens in Toronto, isn't the same that happens in Halifax. So when you do something federally, it has to touch everybody equally. And everything is not equal. Right? So therefore, I believe that it has to be a partnership between public and private that sets out guidelines that each province can utilize within the framework of their province, right? And I think that's my personal thought. That's the way I believe it needs to operate. I think that swinging the pendulum all the way over to the government is wrong. I think it's being too far over to the private has been terrible. Right? Like, I mean, the developer, let's say, like, people have gotten away with making an astronomical amount of money. I'm a pure capitalist. I truly believe people have the right to do that, but I believe that people don't have the right to take advantage of others as well. Right? And I believe that at some point we got to the point where we were taking advantage of people, and now it does have to correct. I just don't think we have to break people's legs. Right? That's what I think we're doing. We're trying to kneecap an industry right now. We're really slapping them hard. And I think that is now just creating bigger issues. That's my belief.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Jon Balzer, Fraser Valley Movers.
Who are you?
Yeah. Tell us about Jon Balzer. Tell us about your company. What is Fraser Valley Movers and Jon Balzer all about?
Yeah. Thanks for the chance to share some time with you guys, for sure. Basically, like a lot of young boys, I grew up imagining and hoping to own a moving company. Nope. Anyway, ultimately got into the moving industry basically because I thought, hey, that seems simple. That seems easy and something I could train other people to do. Yeah, I didn't want to be like a specialist that was required to do everything myself. I wanted to be able to hire people and train them. So I got into the industry about 12 years ago, and basically had no experience doing it. Like, I never moved anyone aside from friends who were super annoying and asked me to help because I had a pickup truck, and got rid of it actually just so I wouldn't have to help people move. That was the main.
That's awesome.
Have a pickup truck. Anyway, then years later, I started a moving company, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, started the company, and at the beginning, when I started it, I had 2 daughters. I still do, but they were 3 and 1 year old at the time, and there was no plan B. I just dove in and was like, yeah, this is it. This is the way to make a living. My wife was a stay-at-home mom, so it was the only income source. And basically, I thought, all right, the business model is don't starve. That's it. So
you took the realtor model.
Is it? Yeah, great.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think for a lot of categories, but anyway, but that was literally like my whole business plan was like, yeah, eat food. So I just said yes to everything. And so, yeah, you guys move hot tubs? Sure. Yeah, we move hot tubs. Like Google how to move a hot tub. And yeah, we just did the stuff. And we were open 7 days a week because I thought, hey, if there's work, you got to say yes. And after about 5 or 6 months, we started getting serious traction, started getting a lot of referrals, and are already repeat business 5 months in. I was like, really? Like, okay, didn't see that coming. And as we got more and more work, I thought, okay, I guess we get another truck now. Okay, get another truck, hire some more guys. After a while, okay, we seem to need another truck. Okay, get another truck, hire some more guys. Like our whole business plan was very reactionary. There wasn't really any foresight. And so basically, at a certain point, we had worked 81 consecutive days.
Wow.
Which meant like I would wake up, I'd hop on a truck with my one helper. We would move whatever we were moving that day, just the two of us. Like no matter how big the house was, we were doing it in one day, just the two of us.
So you had a terrific life balance work model.
Wow.
So harmonious. It's beautiful. I woke up, I ate food, and I worked. Literally. That's what I did for those 81 days. By the end of that, and I didn't know it was going to be 81 in a row. It was like, I knew it would be 5 in a row. And then on day 3, you book a job for day 6, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, in 4 days I get a day off. And you're like, oh no, in 6 days I get a day off. Shoot. Anyway, so at the end of that, I remember a friend asked me, what do you want from your business? And the only thing that came to mind was time off.
A day off.
Much is a break from my business. So I ended up actually making a very hard decision at the time, which was let's close down 1 day a week. And so on Sundays, we're going to shut it down. I'm not going to answer the phone. We're not going to book any jobs. I will actually unplug from work. And I was terrified because Sunday was actually our biggest percentage-wise revenue day of the week. It was around 22% of our weekly revenue. And I thought we're going to go down 22%. Ultimately, we ended up going up 18%. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, that's pretty awesome. So I was like, maybe, are we going to go up another 20% if I shut on Saturdays? Anyway, but didn't do that. But started setting up actual boundaries. So prior to this, I would answer the phone, no hesitation. Sunday, 10:30 p.m., I'd answer the phone, no question. And after that, I need business hours. So I set up business hours after 5 p.m., not answering the phone. And it was great. I was able to start hanging out with my kids a bit, my wife. It was good. And and business kept growing. Then I created a new business idea of how to run the business. And that was, okay, instead of saying yes to everything, let's, like you talked about this already, the pendulum swinging, let's hard the other way. And my goal is to work as little as possible and make 100 grand a year. So can I work less than 10 hours a week and clear 100,000? That became the new goal. Fast forward 4 months, it happened. I'm working under 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And it's great. That was awesome. And I got kind of addicted to like cutting things out. So I kept going and I'm like, I wonder how little I could work.
Well, 2 hours a day is a long time, John.
2 hours a day is way too much. So
that's a long time.
John, get efficient here. So cut it down, and at its peak or low point, I was working maximum 20 minutes a day. Maximum. So I would start working when my daughters would get brought to school at 8:30, and I would be done working before my wife arrived home after dropping them off. Crazy. And so I worked less than 100 minutes a week. And so what do you do?
John, just to jump in here for a second. Maybe rather than having Fraser Valley Movers, you should just be an author of a book, because I think there's that 4-hour work week. If you did
Right?
20, 40, 60, you just did a 1-hour work week. So that's a best-selling book right there.
By leveraging people. That's exactly it.
There you go. There you go. People would ask me what I did, and I would, they thought I was joking. And I'm like, yeah, most of what I do is actually counting money. And it was true. Of the 20 minutes I worked in the day, probably 10 to 15 was counting the day before, making sure we invoiced correctly, guys billed things correctly, we collected. Yeah, that was about it. And then check in with the ops manager. That was really about it. So, yeah. So what am I going to do, man? During the day, all my friends and family work like normal people. And here I have all this time. My kids are in school. My wife is doing whatever she's doing. I'm not entirely sure, but
Don't say it, John. Don't.
so I watched a lot of Netflix, like a lot. And after 2 months, I remember it was a Thursday morning, 10 a.m., because that was the earliest I would turn on Netflix, because I have boundaries, guys. Yeah, like,
right?
and I was like, I won't turn it on before 10 a.m. That's just crazy. That's like daytime drinking or something. So I turned it on 10 a.m. and I'm scrolling through, and there's nothing that I want to see that I haven't already seen. So I was like, oh, this is a problem. This is a problem. So I realized that maybe the purpose of my life and business wasn't to provide me maximum leisure. Maybe that wasn't like the main objective. And, but I was also thankful for the position I was in, because I had worked the 80-hour work weeks for 60 grand a year. So I was pretty happy with my 2-hour work week for 100. So what do you do? So I started looking around for something that would be really meaningful. And ultimately, well, long story long, I guess, I ended up running into a charity, was fascinated by the work they did, and really it captivated my mind. And so we got connected with that, and it made me very excited to work, because, hey, now we can plug into this really meaningful, heartfelt thing that I'm excited about. And yeah, now instead of work being something I want to avoid, it's something I want to dive into and have for years now to enrich other people's lives, basically. So yeah, now we're at a point where yeah, I work like a normal amount of people, I guess, in a 30 to 50 hour a week range, and really enjoy what I do, and I get to solve problems for people and help them through a super stressful event in their life. And it's beautiful, and along the way we get to help our clients directly, but also be very involved in a charity called Food for the Hungry that basically empowers people. So
Well,
That's awesome.
I was looking at a little bit. I was digging into a little bit about Jon Balzer and Ferguson, or Fraser Valley Movers, and you have over 300 5-star Google reviews, which is incredible.
Which is awesome.
For a moving company to
Yeah, for a moving company, that's incredible.
Right?
yeah,
I heard through a grapevine you have done over 2,000 moves.
oh yeah, well over 2,000.
Huge,
Yeah,
right?
That's crazy.
And I guess it comes down to like how stressful is moving for people? Because I know for me, oh man, like that's the last thing I want to do. So how stressful is moving in your experience? Like,
Well, yeah. Or I was gonna say, what goes into a stress-free move? Because
yeah,
that's what, like, I was gonna ask from a client, like, what goes into a stress-free move for a client? Because that's always for.
So I think I need to start by saying a stress-free move is impossible. If that is the expectation, it's going to be a disappointment for sure. However, you can do things to not increase the stress. So the moving is a portion of, like going from house A to house B is one component of the larger picture of what's happening. And maybe the reason for the move is like a stressor, right? Like it could be a partner dies, right? It could be like we need to downsize because we can't take care of this space anymore and we need something smaller, which is its whole emotional baggage filled thing, right? So often moving is considered, depending on what study you're looking at, either the top one or one of the top three stressful events a person goes through in their life. And usually it's because it's tied to like divorce, death, not able to deal with what you've had before, etc. So yeah, there's a lot to it. But as far as the actual move, what can we do to make it as stress free as possible? Not blindsiding people with more stress. So movers don't have like the greatest reputation in the world at all. Like if you want to just Google moving horror stories, you will find a lot of things, a lot. And the typical stories I've heard from people over the last 12 years that I've done this is the typical ways that they get screwed over are they get told a price that's far different than what reality is. So maybe they get told, yeah, we think your move is going to be maybe $2,000. And then on the move day, it turns into 3,800. And
at the end, they get invoiced at the end of that.
Yeah.
Or at the end, they go into it thinking it's 2,000. And then at the end, invoice 3,800. I was going to ask you about stuff like that.
Not even right at the end. It'll be like, this is a very common tactic for shady companies. They will load everything into a truck. Bring the destination before they start unloading. So all items are in their truck.
In the truck, yes.
You're very vulnerable. They will go, actually, that 2,000 was a lot less than it should have been because you have blah, 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 makeup. You have heavy items, you have stairs, whatever. It's going to be 3,800 bucks. And if you don't pay, they will drive off with your stuff.
Right.
That is a very common story, unfortunately. Like our industry is completely unregulated. So anyone can kind of do the things they want, and the only recourse is like a bad review, really.
Well, yes. And there's another follow-up question I've got after that. So continue.
Pretty wild. So what can we do to like minimize stress? We do what we say. If we say the price is going to be 2,500 bucks, it will be 2,500 no matter what. We will be on time. We give a 1-hour arrival window. If we're literally 1 minute later than that window, we'll pay our client $200 just to show we are deadly serious about keeping our commitment. And then we are a small company and have no plans of growth. In the past, I had a company that was up to 6 trucks, 30 staff. Nightmare. I didn't like it at all. I'm not the guy to manage that many people. No, I'm very good at managing a small team. So we have maximum 2 trucks, 2 crews any day. And we just say no after that. If we're fully booked with 2 trucks, we don't want any more. The reason is that we can keep our quality exceptionally high every time. So you can get a great crew on time for the price that you're expecting. So this is the way we don't add more stress to people. But
I think that's so important to understand, is because I was speaking to a client of mine. She was quoted a price over the phone. They had to do a quick move under a very stressful situation. The moving company showed up, said, this is a lot bigger of a job than we thought. Sorry, can't help you. You're on your own.
They just drove off.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So again, I think, you know, when I see Fraser Valley Movers and I see over 300 5-star Google reviews in an unregulated industry where there is a lot of shadiness and a lot of people getting taken advantage of it. And you know, me knowing Jon, you personally, I just know your ethics, I know your morals. You know, I have no problem putting you on, number one, our pod, right, and spreading who Jon Balzer is and Fraser Valley Movers, because I just know the type of person you are and the type of company that you run. So good on you for recognizing how stressful a move can be and not adding to that stress, you know, once you get committed.
Well, and that's what I was going to tag on to that, because that is incredible. That's why I was so excited for Jeff to bring you on, because that is, aside from a mortgage broker, that is the one thing that I think our clients ask us for the most, right? that we're really unsure of a lot of the times and
Mhm.
have the weakest relationships with.
Yep.
As realtors, we really should have strong relationship with movers, right? For the simple fact that, to your point, they can go sideways so fast. So I have been in the position where, thankfully, I was there on key turnover day and stayed with them along the longer talking, and the movers happened to show up and happened to try to pull that with them by overcharging them and threatening to walk out. Now, I wasn't the right person to try to do that with. We got it settled. Nobody got any extra money, and my client got their stuff, right? But that is such an unfortunate thing, and I had to tell them that. And I'm not sure. I know that this was a case a lot of the times with a few of the Manitoba ones, that Manitoba moving companies, and a couple that I'd heard in British Columbia, but that because it's not a necessity to be bonded. So a lot of the movers are ex-criminals.
Correct.
And that is one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of those things happen, because it's the literal wild, wild west
That's
in industry.
too. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
So
Jon,
it is right. Like, it is a lot of, unfortunately, well, and I mean, they need jobs too. So it's like, it's not to say that an ex-convict shouldn't have a job, because ex-convicts deserve second chances.
Sure.
But just unfortunately, there's a higher sect. Is it true that there's a higher sect of those people, that category?
There definitely is, because it's unskilled labor, right? So
Right.
it's a low barrier to entry, or no barrier to entry, and yeah, and often some companies are just like, especially if you're growing, you're just like, hey, we just need someone. We just need someone to show up to be one of the people. Like, if we have a 3-man job, we need 3 people. So who can be a person? And this is the downside of charging by the hour. So the first 6 years I was in business, we did charge by the hour and give an estimate over the phone, just like we're talking about. That's what 99% of companies do. And we ran into all sorts of problems, almost all of which were because we didn't see in person what we were dealing with. So you show up at the house and you go, oh, I had in mind that this was going to be a 4 to 5 hour job. It's going to be 8 to 9. Uh-oh. Now the client's annoyed because what they were expecting price-wise isn't happening. The movers are annoyed because you have another job to do after this, because you thought you were just having a 4-hour job and then going to the next small thing. And their day turns into a 16-hour day, because both small jobs are big. And it's just stressful for everyone. Sucks, right? So we switched about 6 years ago to just charging a flat rate and doing an in-person quote ahead of time, which is literally no one else is doing it. For local moves, there's one other company I know of in BC that does it every time for a local move. And so
that's what I wanted you to highlight, because that is phenomenal, and that is so important, is the in-person assessment. That is a tremendous part of your business.
And you're getting paid by the hour.
Yeah.
If you're efficient at your job and you can do your 8 hours worth of work in 6 hours, why would you? What incentive is there for you to do that? And I had a great mover ask me this when we were charging by the hour. He's like, Jon, why am I working so hard? All I'm doing is cutting my own day's wages down. And I was like, oof, yeah. And that really got me thinking, how can we change this? Everyone does it this way. Everyone gives an estimate and charges by the hour. But in every other industry, it's not that way. If you want to get a roof done, they don't tell you, we're going to send 3 guys. It's going to take 3 to 4 days, and it's going to be X dollars per guy. You're like, what the heck? No, just tell me a number, man. Yeah. If you want to get your house painted, they just tell you it'll be 15 grand. You're like, okay, got it. So yeah, so we're trying to change that, and but really the incentive is the problem. If you're paid by the hour, why would you work efficiently?
Right.
Yeah, true. Hey, Jon,
I think that's awesome.
How far should someone book in advance?
Good question.
There you go. Generally, like, it depends on how specific their needs are. Like, if they must move July 12th, as early as possible. if they have some range, so, but usually 8 weeks is plenty. 8 weeks is plenty if you want a specific date. If you have some range, you can get away with maybe 3 to 7 weeks out. And if you're quite flexible and okay with kind of winging it last minute, like, yeah, you can try within a week, but no guarantees at all, right?
And again, I just go back to the situation that I referred, like this had to be a quick move. Like, hey, we got to move. We're going to move in 3 days. Like, what is the likelihood of someone getting your moving company in a situation like that when I'm hearing you got to book out 3 to 8 weeks? And how would you deal with a phone call like that? Is like, hey, we need to move in 3 days. Like, can you be here?
Yeah. So if we, like, for example, earlier today, someone got in touch with me and they're like, can we move on Tuesday, May 20th? And this is a Wednesday, so that's 6 days in the future. And it just so happened that we still had a slot available. So I was like, actually, yeah, we can do it. So basically what I was saying with the 3 to 8 weeks is like, those are ideals. If you're in reality, if you have a scenario where you have much less notice than that, like the best thing you can do is just call and find out, right? Like, can I move on that day with you guys, or do I need to keep looking? But in order to keep kind of stress as low as possible, it's ideal to kind of plan early. But I know that's not always possible.
So be organized.
So, and there to go into that organization part. That's what I was going to ask. Is what can somebody that is moving, what can they do, like in preparation for you guys, to make sure that their move is more stress free, as stress free as possible, let's say.
Totally. So depending on their scenario, if they are planning on packing boxes themselves, for example, the best thing to do with that is actually is to start early and just do like a couple boxes a day for a couple months kind of thing, rather than let it all build up and go, uh-oh, I got to move in 5 days and I've got 3 boxes packed, right? Like,
right.
Hey, don't use me as an example.
Hey, that's how you roll in life, and you want to cool, go for it. But yeah, so there's actually probably the best option if you're packing yourself. Get boxes from U-Haul. They're the cheapest, but the quality is not inferior to other places. You can go to Home Depot, get boxes from there. They will cost more than U-Haul, and they're not better. So go for it. U-Haul will actually deliver them to your house for free as well. If you give them like 1 to 2 business days for that, and then they'll buy back your boxes if you don't use them. So super good resource. I don't have any connection with them. I'm not making any money from this or whatever. But yeah, that's a great option. And then when you're packing the boxes, like labeling the side of the box is something a lot of people don't do. They just label the top, but when they're stacked 4 or 5 boxes high, you can only see the top one, and that'll slow down the move, right? So yeah, and then just kind of put everything you can into a box. It will make the move a lot better. If you have a lot of loose stuff, and you don't put it in boxes, it's just going to make things take longer and be more annoying on the other end, because you're going to have all this loose stuff while you're trying to unpack. So those are the main things.
I didn't know about U-Haul, that they would deliver for free, like if you gave them a couple of days advance. And the reason why I'm saying that is there's so many times that I'm going and grabbing boxes for my clients from U-Haul. I'm just tearing over their U-Haul, grabbing boxes, and then running them over to them. So it's one of those things that if I would have known, I could have just said, hey, I'll order you some boxes and I'll have them to you in a couple of days.
Or that they buy them back. I had no idea.
Or buying them back, I didn't know either. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have a minimum charge for the order. I forget what it is, but it's not crazy. It might be like $150 or $125 or something, where you get free shipping if it's that. or more. As long as they're unused, and they have like a little seal on the top that you usually cut open if you're going to use the box. If you don't have that, cut and return it. They'll pay you what you bought it for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty helpful thing. So you can just buy big, right? Like, we only need 50 boxes. Well, let's get 80, right? Because there's no danger in doing that. And then we'll return whatever we don't have. Mm-hmm.
So John, what I'm hearing is if you want to rent a moving company but box your own house to be organized, do 2 a day until the day of your move, so you don't have a huge amount. But my question is does Fraser Valley Movers, do they actually, or can we actually have you guys come in and box everything for us, take everything down, and really kind of do it all?
The full service deal.
Yeah. So Jeff, let's say you want to move in 2 days, okay? And this has already been planned ahead of time. We could come tomorrow and come to your house with you having to do nothing. So you're as ready now as you need to be. We'll show up tomorrow. We'll bring all the boxes and packing materials we need. Tomorrow, we'd pack everything in your house into boxes. By the time we leave tomorrow, you'll have a pile of boxes in your house, okay? Following morning, we'd come, move everything for you. So what that means for us is we wrap all your furniture and blankets. We disassemble, beds, tables, whatever needs taking apart, bring it to your new place, reassemble it, put things in the correct rooms. Every box goes in the room it's labeled for. And make sure you're happy things are exactly where they should be. Then you unpack the boxes, unless you want us to do that too. But I find most people want to know where like their kitchen stuff is and plan that themselves. So then you could unpack all your boxes, call us up, we'll come pick up all your empty boxes and recycle them for you.
Wow.
That's an option. So
that's awesome. And how far do you go? So how far, let's say I live in Langley, would you go to Kamloops if I got relocated?
All the time. Okay. We
Okay.
move within BC. We won't go outside of BC, but usually, like, we're based kind of Langley, Abbotsford is where the vast majority of our jobs start. But we'll go basically 600 or 700 kilometers from there. So we're going to the island at least once a month on average through the year. We're going to Kelowna, Kamloops, Vernon area. That's another really popular section. And that's probably happening 6 to 8 times a year. Yeah.
Awesome.
All the time. Yeah.
John, I have another question and story because I just moved into my house about 3 years ago, and I was that guy that had 3 boxes and moving. So I resonate with this, and a lot of these questions are for me for next time.
There you go.
But how does someone select a moving company? Because there's so many,
right?
So how does someone select a moving company? Yeah, like how did they do it? Because everybody just, to be honest, they just ask, well, I'm going to go with the cheapest price. But what I'm hearing, that cheapest price may not be the cheapest price.
Yeah, so it really depends on how comfortable you are with risk and the unknown, really, right? If you're like, hey, I have young kids, all my stuff is garbage, I don't care, right? My kids have trashed my furniture already, blah, blah, blah. I just need to get it there. You can go try, like, if you want cheap, you can get cheap. And the way to go for that is probably hop on Craigslist. Like, there's unbelievably low rates advertised there. Now, be aware, you might end up as the end of that story that we already talked about, right? Where it ends up being far different. But if you're willing to take that chance and hope that it is what it's advertised to be, go for it. However, even if you don't care at all about your items, the reality is you live in a home of some kind, apartment, townhouse, house. And if those walls get scraped up, if the floor gets, damaged, likely the new people moving in are not going to be happy about that. And likely it's going to come back on you.
Yeah.
So do you want to have to deal with that yourself? Because a company that set a low rate did thousands of dollars of damage, which is very easy to do. It is not hard to do $2,000 of damage. Yeah.
So just to tag on to that, it will come back on you because there is a clause in every contract, unless you have a realtor that strikes it out. But most of the other realtor, the opposite side, will not allow this to be stricken out. There's a clause that states you will ensure that the walls and the floors will remain in good standing, meaning it won't be dented, it won't be scratched, it won't be wrecked upon the other party receiving the property. So yes, that is a big deal that actually comes back to blow back on clients when they move, is they get some movers that don't care that much about their property and break things and scratch things and ruin things.
Yeah.
And then you have to repair that before that other person gets those keys, or have to now go back to the lawyers to sign something that you will repair it.
And I guess I want to even add to that, like, are moving companies insured?
So there is literally one regulation in this industry, and it is a total joke. Here it is. If a moving company damages something and it's very provable that they damaged it, okay, and they accept that they damaged it, okay, so a few things have to happen. They will owe the client based on the weight of the damaged item. And what they will owe is 60 cents per pound for that item. So here's a good example. Imagine a 3-pound flat screen TV. The movers shatter the screen. Legally, they owe that client $1.80.
Yeah.
They could actually pay that client $2 and say, we've done more than we're required to do. This matter included. That is the legal obligation. We have.
Well, John, I wanna put you on the spotlight now, because again, I don't know how you're going to answer this. Hopefully you're going to answer it well, but I'm gonna put you under the spotlight because things happen, right? You can work with the best people, things happen.
Humans make mistakes. Yeah.
Humans make mistakes. It's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Have you ever damaged that TV?
Yes. One time.
And how did you handle that situation?
So the one time we did damage TV, this is probably 2 years into business. We're still unsure how it happened because it got wrapped in a blanket, put it in the truck. It was in a soft spot, nothing sharp around it. Drove to the destination, took the blanket off, spider web across the screen, right? Like cracked everywhere. And we're like, oh my gosh, what on earth? What we did was look up the model and make of the TV, found out what the price was for it, gave the client that exact amount. To not obey the law, my goal is to have happy customers, even if something goes sideways. So yeah, that's what we did, and that's what we do. Like, that's only ever happened one time with the TV, but yeah, you're right. Humans, things happen. Even though we try to really protect things, there will be damage at times, and our motto is to repair or replace the thing. So if we scratch a floor, we'll get a guy in and he will fix the floor. If we put a dent in a wall, we will send in a painter to touch it up and smooth it out.
And one of the things I'd like to just quickly take out, and I think I'm gonna be speaking for John here, is that people that offer this type of service, the reason why they can is because they take so much care that they won't have to do it. It's not, they just don't say it. It's not just something said to be said, because somebody that says it to be said will normally damage your stuff, right? People that actually say these things and have this as one of the pillars of their business, they say this because they put that much care into your move, into your items, that they won't ever have to replace it or repair it, right? That's the beauty thing of paying for but the paying for actual movers. So that, and then when they do in that unfortunate situation, they're able to repair that cost because they don't ever have to pay that money very often. So it's an easy, okay, here's the $800. I don't ever have to, I like, this is the first time I ever had to do this money. So here you go.
Right? I actually started, I've done it a couple of times on Instagram, filming like the mistake of the day. Like, oh, we screwed up. Here's what we did. And here's what we're doing right. And I found it kind of cathartic to like, because like when something happens, you get annoyed, right? You're like, oh shoot, whatever, right? And I found as I was just like kind of filming the process, I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, it's okay. It was a mistake. What we're doing, and it's okay. And people like it. And I was like, oh,
there's so much credibility when people can own up to their mistakes, right?
That's it.
I think people become more credible when they can be accountable for what they do and recognize what they're doing and take an ownership in it.
Mm-hmm.
So Jon, if you guys can believe it, we've been at this for 50 minutes. So,
right,
Jon, I know you've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct. Yeah.
This is Louis telling us to say, hey, get Jon into the speed question. So I know you're not familiar with speed dating.
Okay.
I do have some questions for you. Okay. Yeah, that's Louis. He's excited. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he's excited. But I do want to wrap this up with some really speed questions with speed answers.
Okay.
And then if you're up for it, yeah, well, you don't even have a choice, actually. This is what's happening, Jon.
All good.
What's happening. Okay, here we go. Alistair, you can jump in if you like. What things should I look for in a moving company?
Word of mouth referrals, ideally, or good Google reviews if you can't get the first one.
Fraser Valley Movers, do they estimate a quote or do they put their quote in writing, and will they change it?
It is a binding quote. It will only change if you change what you want done.
Do you have employees or do you hire day laborers?
No, never day labor. Did that one time. Awful. Never will do it again. Just employees. Long-term employees.
What's one moving myth you'd like to bust right now?
Wow. Moving myth. That all movers are terrible.
Yeah. Does Fraser Valley Movers replace damaged goods if it is their fault when moving?
Either repair or replace. Yeah.
Do you charge by the hour or do you charge by the quote? Or
yeah, we charge a flat rate that's determined ahead of time.
Are your movers experienced or unexperienced?
Our movers, on average, have been with us about 5 years. Yeah.
What is your name?
Jon Balzer.
What is your company?
Fraser Valley Movers and Storage.
And how do we get a hold of you?
FraserValleyMovers.ca is our website. And my phone number is 778-549-4521. Yeah.
Okay, I got one more. If you could give one moving tip in under 10 seconds, what would it be?
Prepare ahead of time. Yeah.
Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Fraser Valley Movers, folks.
Thanks. Wonderful. That's awesome. Like, and in all seriousness, you will be one of my top referrals, because that is a question that I get all the time, and it is one that I did get burned on. I had to have a discussion with my last referral that I will not be using anymore, because they did burn one of my clients, and I was not too happy. So
the tricky part is like the consistent quality, right? Like you can refer, and one time it'll be awesome to one company, and the next time it's awful because it's like the A team versus the C team, right? And so with us, because we're small, we stay small. It's always going to be the A team. So
I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing for me as a realtor, and for all the other realtors out there listening, that is the biggest thing that you guys should be looking for as well. So I guess that's it, boys. That was an amazing pod. Thank you all for joining and listening to us today. Continue to love us, like us, and share us. But most importantly, stay empowered, stay informed. And Jeff, that's right, babies. Stay tuned. Peace out.